Welcome everyone to the 2021 implementation of our Teaching ML workshop. Today we're going to have our satellite event. I'm super happy that this event is co-hosted by Catherine Kinnard from the US and myself, Peter Steinbach from Germany. The third organizer of our workshop can unfortunately not join today. So that said, I would directly lead to our first speaker, Cornelia Gamst, who's also already connected. We'll talk about a platform for learning about artificial intelligence called AI Campus. I'm super happy to have her here and to share her experience and her goals from a platform. I got to know her last year, or was it even before that? During or in the time of our first TeachML workshop, and we already had a couple of discussions after that. And I must say I'm super happy to have you today because I know that your platform, you have quite high goals that I really respect, and I'm really anxious to see how everything plays out and what you can present today. So Cornelia, please share your screen. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Peter, very much. Pressure's on. Yeah, very high expectations. Let's see what I can show you today. So yes, my name is Cornelia Gamst. I work in for this project called AI Campus. It's a German project. We call it KI Campus in German, and it's for now quite focused on German. So I hope this is somehow also relevant for those of you joining out from outside of Germany. But I think it is. A lot of machine learning AI stuff is in English anyway, so it has some kind of focus on Germany, but not exclusively. So let me get started. 1 second. Here we go. Oh, now for me the view changes. This is good. Okay, so make it look nicer. Here we go. Can you see that now?
It's all visible, thank you. So I see it.
Yeah,
you're ready to go.
All right. So I feel like our topic today is a little bit an outlier from the general intention of the workshop, I think, because the AI Campus is a learning platform that is using online courses for teaching anyone machine learning and AI topics, and it's not so much focused on specific students in a specific location, but we will get to that later. So welcome to How to Learn Machine Learning Online. What is the AI Campus? The AI Campus is an online platform that offers different learning formats, not exclusively courses, for understanding, questioning, and designing AI technologies, especially machine learning, but also some other ideas are covered. And how do we do that? We have AI Campus Originals that are learning formats and courses that are specifically designed for AI Campus and funded through corporations. And we also have curated content that from open educational resources, or at least free other resources that we interconnect some with our own courses and make visible through our platform. On the topic of AI and machine learning. That's what it looks like in the beta version. The project started in late 2019, and last summer, during the first lockdown in Germany, we launched the platform and started with like a couple of courses. Now we're like every month there's a few new courses starting already. A little bit about the background. The project is a joint project of 5 organizations. I'm located at Stifterverband, which is like a organization supporting science and research and education in Germany. We're the administrative part of the project, I would say. Then we have the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, DFKI, who are producing some of the courses and having an eye on the content side. The Hasso-Plattner Institute is offering the learning platform for the courses. NeoCosmo is a software company that is doing the front end of the overall search portal. And then MMB Institute is a research institute about education. We're doing some of the evaluation and impact of the courses that we're offering. And the whole endeavor is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Education and Research of Germany. So how does learning with AI Campus work? We have several target groups, and yes, they are very broad. For now, in the beta version, we are mainly catering the target group of students. So a lot of the courses that we are having are quite academic. But in the long run, we also want to address more practitioners in industry and also lifelong learners. So we also have some offerings that are not so specifically targeted to applying AI in your own field, like medicine, for example, but a more broad, general for the general public, just to talk about also some of the ethical implications of certain AI technologies and so on. What are our learning formats? For now, the main thing we've been producing in the last 1.5 years have been actual online courses. So massive online, well, not that massive for now, but the intention would be to have open online courses and blended learning formats with these open online courses in universities, for example. But we're also working now more on learning nuggets, like shorter formats, just videos and podcasts with some exercise tasks connected to them, so that they can be like in small portions and used very specifically, like for a certain learning setting in a classroom also. And then also in the long run, to tailor sort of micro degrees out of some of the longer courses, and also have the goal is also to have some modules integrated in higher education curricula at European universities. And one of the perks that you get from public funding is that everything is authored with a Creative Commons share-alike license, which is very amazing because everything can be used for teaching anywhere else in the world, the English parts at least. So this is one of our key principles: openness of technology. We're still working on that, and also openness of the formats, of course. I see there's also already something in the chat. Do you want to? Okay, no, never mind. Please, Peter, if you monitor the chat because it's not visible on my screen, just let me know. Okay.
I will. That's cool. What I'm doing.
Great, thank you. Okay, so openness, yay. I have to click on it now. Here we go. Yes. This is a little look at some of the German examples that we have. They're usually, can you see my mouse? Yeah, they're tagged with like AI Campus Original. So this is like not a curated, but one of our own productions. So this is an example for like medical students to learn something about data science and machine learning applications in their field. Then here we have a podcast on process mining together with a process mining software company. This is actually with Charité Berlin, so quite nice. And then we also made like a special about data flow in like everyday life with the continuous learning Verband association in Germany. So this is more like for a broader audience, just to learn something in general about data in our world today. These are some of the partners that we're working on right now. You see, like, it's a very huge focus on Germany and German universities and colleges. So it's quite academic for now, but we also have some industry partners you can see, or some organizations that are non-governmental organizations. And also one course made in Luxembourg. So we're trying to become a little bit more international and European. It doesn't work if I take out the mouse. So I didn't want to talk much about what AI Campus is supposed to be, but I would like to show you a little bit of the beta version that we have right now. And then afterwards we can come back here and talk a little bit about how can the stuff that we have now and that we're planning maybe be useful for you as well. So let's go. Actually, the AI Campus URL, do you now see my browser, or do you still see the presentation? Browser? Because I still see some weird presentations thing. Okay, anyway.
No, it's all good. I see your browser. Cool,
okay. So the AI Campus URL is actually just a redirect to the original domain, which is KI Campus, because it's German. But you can switch to English here. And my browser already did that. So this is the starting page. There's actually a video here, which is a little bit hard to tell. So you can watch that. And then let's maybe now directly dive into the learning materials. The rest is just introductory stuff that I maybe already told you. And the interesting thing here for you today, I think, is probably to go in one of the topic filters and take a closer look at what is there about machine learning, for example. So this is what the presentation looks like. As I said, it's beta, so it doesn't really look that great. But if you're looking for something specific, you can find it, I think. So this is the Luxembourg course that has started in spring this year, I think, about machine learning in industrial environments. We have one course by one of your colleagues. I think Bernd last year was part of the organizing committee about automated machine learning. Very cool course. Robotics, there's something around robotics. And then this is also a nice course by Ute Schmid in Bamberg about explainable machine learning, but it's the course itself is in German. There's some materials that they're using that is, of course, English, but all the videos and everything is in German. So we're working on a translation for especially this topic, because I think it's quite interesting also internationally. So this is also quite nice. And here you can see these are courses that fit the topic and that we recommend from, for example, our partner platform at Hasso-Plattner Institute, but also, of course, Andrew G's course on Coursera, which is featured because you can indeed subscribe to it for free. You cannot take the certificate for free. Coursera charges for that, but all the learning material is available for free. And this is the follow-up course to the very successful Finnish Elements of AI course, which is maybe a little basic, talking about machine learning here, but in the Building AI course it's actually quite nice. They have some nice programming exercises as well. And then here you can see this is a different type of format. It's a video playlist, for example, on neural networks, and you can like directly watch it here or go inside. This is also a course that will come soon by Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. Applied machine learning, but it's also German. And I think the rest is all like external stuff. So for now, there are like 5 big machine learning courses that we're offering through like original production at AI Campus. Let's take a look into one of the courses, maybe this one, Automated Machine Learning. I probably will have to log in. Nope. Okay, it's automatically redirected. Anyway, so this is the, as I said, the learning platform is provided by Hasso-Plattner Institute. They have their own open HPI platform, and it's like the analog architecture to that. So it's a classic MOOC platform that is based on videos and some, not in this first chapter, but like later on, videos and quiz questions or other types of exercises and text elements. So if you look into the courses for now, like the big actual MOOC courses are usually structured like this, that they have different chapters, and then in each chapter, the teaching part, the instructional part is done with videos, and then there are maybe some exercises and quiz questions. So this is basically what it looks like, and then you have like this menu that takes you through the course, survey, and you can see if there's here's so this is what a video looks like, and then you have here, this is where you have quiz details. So this is now a self-test, so just an engagement kind of assessment to see whether you grasp the concepts from the last chapter, and then there's also evaluated quiz questions where you can get points and then get a certificate in the end. Now I have to look at my plan, what I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, maybe we can look into the explainable AI course. It looks a little bit strange because I have the administrator login. It looks a little bit more easy to manage when you're a student. Here. So this is like the introductory page, so they also have like a nice little video. And okay, I'm already in this. So one of the things that we're currently working on, which is of course interesting to teaching machine learning, Jupyter notebooks. In this course, they already they used Binder to integrate an example Jupyter notebook into like, so you, I know this the whole introduction is in German, but if you click on the notebook, I think the notebook is in English. Let's leave that loading. So here you see this launches like a new tool, and the notebook is hosted in this Binder tool, which is of course a little suboptimal because yes, the students can work there, but it's not really like, you can't really save what you did and come back and work on it later, or submit something you did to a grading tool that would then give you like a feedback or result for an exercise. So right now, that's one of the things that we're working on, to integrate a Jupyter Hub into our own architecture, and then hopefully have like an authentication tool that can then save progress of a programming project in a notebook, so that the students can go back to the notebook and keep working at different time intervals, and also an auto grading, well, or at least some kind of grading tool. So there's the notebook. I know it's actually, this one is actually in German. Okay. So the commentaries. So this works somehow because through Binder, you can have it executable and you can have it changeable. And of course, the students could then download it and on their own machine, keep working on it and come back to it later. But it doesn't really have an authentication that identifies who is opening this URL here to who the user in our system is and what they're actually doing on it. So this is more like for demonstration purposes. If you want to give a project and then the students work on it on their own, then it's fine, I think, or just to demonstrate with like, this is also a notebook that's pre-filled, right? So it's already run and it already does this whole thing that in this module was discussed, this slime thing. But if you actually want to use it like inside the system for assessment, we still have a couple of building blocks to develop. What else? Okay, maybe it's interesting to look from the learner perspective at the progress bar. This is actually quite nice because it shows you quite in detail, like which parts of each module you have been working on already, what your results on the tests have been. And these assignments would be like the graded tests, or also other kinds of tools that are integrated with this authenticator. HPI uses the LTI standard to talk about the grading and the user IDs. So in this course, you see, okay, there are no graded assignments, but it shows you what you have been visiting and how you have performed in the other tests. Okay, so I don't have a clock anymore at this view. Okay, we still have some time. Maybe one more interesting thing. So these are the learning opportunities that we have. And then one other interesting thing might be, especially also for you who are interested in talking about how to teach machine learning, is also the community. So the community, we have different pillars, let's say. There's a community chat tool, we're using Mattermost, and then we have these expert labs on specific topics, like medicine or also schools. But there's also one expert lab on university teaching or higher education. And actually, I remember last year in this workshop, there was one subgroup that also discussed about how to define a competency framework in a pedagogical sense, of what it actually means to be able to do machine learning, and to base your classes a little bit more on theoretical background for pedagogical content knowledge. What does the teacher actually have to know about how to teach certain techniques maybe, and certain theory. So there's actually one group in this expert lab university teaching that is focusing on that. For now, they're working on a how do you say, like a pilot kind of version of such a competency framework, for a basic introductory data science course, for PhD student level students that have not necessarily programming experience, but some statistical experience in their field, like, I don't know, neuroscience or biology or something like that. So I will come back to that a little bit in the slides. So if you're interested in that, would be cool to get in touch. One other thing is a teaching fellowship that we're offering. That is for now exclusively in Germany, unfortunately, but who knows? I don't know if so the page is in, sorry. Yeah, the information, oh yeah, okay, so there are some of the fellows from last year, and I think we have one here in our midst, Katarina Bata, I think. So maybe you can say a couple of words from your experience also afterwards. That would be really cool. Yeah, so these are, the idea of the fellowship is to take material from the AI campus and use it in your teaching at your university or college. And then you get like a little funding from us, and especially like get to be part of a community of teachers in higher education who are trying to do this, like integrate open educational materials into an on-site class. And it's been really interesting to see like the exchange that happens and the experiences that are coming out of that. So that's very cool. Yes, I think these are the things that I wanted to show on the platform. And then maybe we can go back to the presentation. Let me see. Yes, it worked. Did it work for you? Seeing the presentation again? Yes. Yes?
All good.
Cool. Okay, so what does this mean? What could this mean for you? Why could this be interesting for you? You could want to use our stuff, our materials, our videos, our maybe also Jupyter Notebook project suggestions, something like that. Everything that is done as an AI Campus original and is tagged with this thing is licensed with the share alike Creative Commons license. So you can use it in your teaching, but you can also use it to remix it and can publish something new put together out of different things that are on our platform. So that's pretty cool. You could also want to show your own stuff. Have you been working, like, for example, last year, Heidi showed their amazing introductory machine learning course that they have on GitHub. I think now they have like this super cool front end also for it. You could want to share that with us and get maybe like a broader audience for a course project like that, because we also curate existing learning materials, as I showed you. Or you could want to make new stuff with us. We're always open for new collaborations on missing and relevant topics. As you saw, we have a lot of partners who are developing courses with us. So maybe you have a cool idea of something that you would like to develop on the AI campus. Those are 3 ideas that I had. Also, what else do we offer? Here I wrote down the 2 community aspects again. So the expert lab, on the website it was called University Teaching. I wrote higher education here. So yes, one working group is, as I said, focusing on defining a competency framework. So just get back to me if that's something that would be interesting to you. Out of the fellowship program that I mentioned, we're developing a support kit with like tips and tricks and some tools how to integrate open educational resources and MOOC material into your teaching on site. First version will be in German, but if that's something interesting, an English version is of course possible. And then one more thing that is a little bit more in the clouds, that we want to have at some point, hopefully still next year, is called Playground, and like an exhibition space online where students can, or also projects can show off some small machine learning projects or apps or notebooks that they developed during their studies, preferably, of course, during one of our courses, but in general, some nice machine learning projects that are fun to interact with and learn something from for other users. So that's also quite exciting, but we're just starting on that now. So just a quick mention. What else? So now I would like to ask you and take the opportunity that we are here in a pretty nice setting with all of you interested in teaching machine learning to students. What would be your wishes for a platform like our AI campus, and which content or what feature would you want to be able to use in such a platform like the AI campus? So maybe you could take that as a trigger for a discussion. Yes, I would really like to hear your side on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the there's clapping hands coming in. from the audience, at least virtually. Thank you very much, Cornelia, for giving or providing us these insights. So I'm not sure. I would love to first start with your questions to the audience. I suggest that those that would like to reply to those two questions that Cornelia had raise their hand and then unmute themselves if I call them out.
I will also put them on the what's it called?
Share screen.
The pad.
The pad, yeah, that's cool. That would be awesome. Then people have a chance to asynchronously reply if they don't know what to say right now at the top of their heads. So the screenshot also, now you're typing, cool. Okay. Then let's wait until, there you go. Now these two questions have appeared in the notes or questions section.
A lot of questions have appeared. Yes, hey, cool, okay.
Good, then I suggest we go through the questions on your presentation and then maybe people find some headspace to reply to your questions as well.
Should I share the screen with the pad now, maybe? Would that be helpful?
We can do that, sure.
Or does everybody have it open anyway?
I can reshare. Let me reshare the link to the pad in the chat, and then people can open this and have a read. That actually that is the sole purpose of this pad. It's for the audience. Okay, so let's go through the questions then. So MOOCs reportedly have a high dropout rate. Yes, can you confirm or falsify this for AI Campus based on your learner statistics?
Well, since we launched like 1.5 years ago, 1 year ago actually went live, and the focus is so specific like on this topic, and also in Germany, our user numbers are not really high, so they're not representative. We knew that, of course, about MOOCs, that the dropout rate is super high. And for those courses that are have only been launched in a asynchronous, self-paced kind of way, we can confirm that. Like not quantitatively, but qualitatively. We can't really measure, is it like 5% persistent rate or 2? So we wouldn't want to say that because our numbers are not so high, but it's like the dropout rate is high, which is why we started projects like the fellowship program. And also a lot of the course production projects are linked to some kind of blended learning setting at their host university, like at the university where they are produced. They're run produced and then tested in one semester with a blended learning cohort at their university. So for those courses that have either this blended learning setting in the beginning from the producing teachers, or that are part of a project with one of the fellowship participants, we do see better numbers. Because of course, if you do it in a blended setting, students have an incentive to go to the end, because they will need the content to pass their exam at their local university. So also there, I would not want to say any quantitative numbers for now, but qualitatively we can say it is much better, because though like a big part of those students who subscribe to the course are part of a blended setting, and that helps a lot, yes, of course.
Okay.
How many is that like? Yeah. Is the question posing person happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy.
Okay, that was yours. Okay, fine, cool.
Then I guess the second question follows suit. How many learners have been enlisted? How many learners can you enlist?
Well, so have been, it depends a little bit on the course and like the topic, and also how it was distributed a little bit. Like sometimes the teachers themselves have like a super cool network, and then suddenly they just make a tweet about it, and then there's a lot of student income. But in total, we have like a little bit more than 6,000 learners on the platform, and I don't know, between 200 and 2,000 enrollments for each course, something like that. How many can you enlist? Well, I don't know, like in principle, of course it's limited somehow, but it's not really limited, like realistically limited. Of course, the teaching design has to be scalable. If you want to cater tens of thousands of students, your course has to offer the right didactics, like the right. Of course, everybody can watch the videos, cool, but you can do that on YouTube. So, like, what's the difference? Why would you do a MOOC? So the stuff around it, like the forum, discussion forum, it's quite old school. The students nowadays, the younger ones, they don't use that. The quizzes, after a couple thousand users, maybe somewhere the quiz answers will circulate if it's an actual graded assignment. So maybe a little bit smarter assignment techniques would be helpful if you want to do a really, really big course. But in principle, I mean, there's some kind of limitation, but the core, if you have a smart design for a good scalable course, we can do a scalable course, yes.
That's what I meant with the question. I mean, if, for example, if you train a CNN, if you have 100 learners or so, it might all be doable, right? But if semester starts and you're unlucky and there's 5,000 students starting to train a CNN or so, depending on where this Jupyter notebook is running, you quickly can end up in congestion. Okay. Next question: how many software engineers are working on the or for the AI Campus website?
That's a very nasty question. Yes. Okay. So I mentioned it's publicly funded, and if anyone here from Germany who's ever written a project proposal to be financed by the federal ministry knows that they don't want to pay software engineers or any kind of like technical or necessary jobs, also like infrastructure or like HR, like anything that's administrative or actual technical. They don't want to pay for that, which is ridiculous, because if you want to build a learning platform, what you most need are software engineers. Otherwise, the platform will be shitty. And it's a little bit what we're struggling with. And that's also a little bit why you see that the architecture we have is like really old school, because we don't have the manpower in engineers to really hack up something super cool that is 21st century. So yes, it's a very painful question. Not many at all.
Okay, honest answer, cool. Thank you. If the lessons are based on Jupyter notebooks, new languages entail a clone of the Jupyter notebook, right?
What exactly do you mean?
So you mentioned that you're expanding the material to English, right? And for example, you mentioned that one of your supporting institutions was a university in Luxembourg. And for example, there, even though not many people live in Luxembourg, but French would be an obvious alternative as well. So I'm wondering, so this question is by me. I'm wondering that, for example, for the lesson material that is based on Jupyter notebooks, this would mean that you would have to clone the Jupyter notebook and basically translate all the text bits and yada, yada, yada. Right? Or how does this work?
Yes, I mean, translation is always a nasty business, especially when you also have videos and formats that are not text. I don't necessarily see this so much in the context of so you actually with language you mean natural language, like
yes,
German, English, French.
Exactly.
I was thinking you meant Python or R or something.
No. I mean, that's another dimension.
Yeah, I would not see that as so problematic in the context of the Jupyter notebooks, because when you get to the point where you actually do something in a Jupyter notebook with programming, I think the standard would probably be English anyway. So I think this whole translation thing and versioning translated stuff is actually probably more complicated with the whole video and text, like instructional texts of the material. But of course, with the Jupyter notebooks, it's the same. But versioning a French and an English Jupyter notebook and versioning a French and an English video or something is, I think, the same problem. And yes, we don't really have a good solution for that yet, which is why we have courses either in German or in English for now, depending on the topic a little bit, and also on the inclination of the teachers. But yes, that's a problem. Does anyone have a good recommendation how to handle versioning of translated materials? Okay.
Sarah, I was thinking about Sarah and Anajit to actually reply to this. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like, because Sarah is writing in the chat.
Carpentries, yay, cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so someone has an infrastructure that it allows you to build up like a partial translation in it. Like you build up like a dictionary and then it does a translation, and that helps facilitate the versioning of maintaining things in multiple languages. I don't understand exactly how it works, but I can find it and then share it. But they use it, it's like in beta, it's not deployed, but they use it for the translations of the Carpentries lessons, which are all open source and in mostly in English, but there's a lot of them that have been translated to Spanish using this framework.
Cool, that's amazing. I've been also like privately involved in like translating projects with the Raspberry Pi Foundation for like kids coding materials, and they also have like a huge language portfolio with volunteers translating everything. So maybe I can also ask them how they do actually the versioning of stuff. But I don't know that now. I could get in touch with them.
Yeah, one comment from my side, in the HPC carpentry community, we were contemplating this, exploiting some Jekyll features. So basically the framework that we use to build the website has capabilities to support multiple languages. But then again, the question came up, what about different programming languages? So I don't know what happened to this discussion and where it's at now.
Okay.
Nora McGregor actually made a comment in the chat by providing a link. Nora, if you want to say something, please unmute yourself and make a comment on this link. Hello.
Hello. Oh wait, my camera's over here. Sorry. Yeah, I just mentioned the programming history, and but there's nothing. It's not really versioning per se, but they write separate different lessons on there. But they have a kind of structure for keeping that organized. I mean, each lesson will be a translation of the original one, but I don't know how they practically keep it on GitHub with the version controls between the original language one and whatever has been translated to, but they would be a good place to ask questions of as well. So
cool, thank you. That's great. So Peter, I think there was one last question on the pad.
Yes,
or does anyone
I was just finishing typing. Do you also plan on offering lessons for school students?
Directly at the moment, no, but indirectly a lot, because we have one main focus area, like as you saw maybe when I scrolled through it, like one main focus area is medicine, as an application area, then higher education and school. But the target group of the AI campus is then the teachers, so the adults, teaching students at university, but also practicing teachers in like Fortbildung, continuing education. So the target group is probably never going to be the actual students, the actual kids, but they're teachers as like multiplicators. But in the courses, if you go in on the topic of school or education at AI campus instead of machine learning, you will see a lot of the courses for school teachers do contain like a lot of material that is for the kids that you could then directly use in the kids' classroom. It's not really made for the kids to work on the stuff on their own on our platform, but there's a lot of material that the teachers can then, or also educators from outside of schools, of course, can then use with the kids. But on our platform, it's more like explained to the adults how to use it and not for the kids.
Okay, one more question came in.
Yes.
Do you consider having learning paths or a similar idea to connect different courses or topics?
Of course. I mean, what do you mean with consider? We want to do that, and we've been wanting to do that from the beginning. But as I mentioned before, we don't have so many programmers, so it's a bottleneck. But of course, we want to do that, and that we ended up with different scenarios. So there is one concept that is like micro degree or like a course series. There's like 4 courses on deep learning or whatever that are like actually connected. And then you have like course 1, 2, 3, 4 that you can take. That is one thing that will hopefully come sooner. And then there's what maybe you mean with learning path is something that's more individualized. That is a combination of different materials from different sources that leads to a specific learning goal or that fits to a specific learner. I mean, in the beginning of AI Campus, there was this super ambitious plan to actually use proper AI technology learning analytics to recommender systems, to develop something that then automatically tracks how a student is doing and then recommends like specific material. Not going to happen in the next year, but that was one time the ambitious plan. But of course, if the ministry wants to see a platform that can do something like that, then they have to invest more in the programmers, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Thank you. Good. I would say we close this session at this point.
Yeah, sure.
And take a short break. Thank you very much, Cornelia.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, thank you for taking the time for all these wonderful questions that our audience provided. I invite everyone to reach out to Cornelia if you have more questions or comments beyond those that have been proposed. And I suggest we all take a short break and reconvene at 3 o'clock for our next talk.